My name is Raymond, and this is my story. So I grew up for the most part in Prince George's County. I was raised by my mother, one of 3 children. I have 2 sisters. Led a pretty much normal childhood. I grew up in church. My mother was a very religious, well, she still is a very religious woman. I graduated from High Point High School in Beltsville, Maryland, and then later went to Morgan State University. In 2007, just like any other day, I went to work and I wasn't feeling well. I went home and I called my mother and told her I wasn't feeling well, and she kept saying, you need to go to the ER, go to the ER. Just take these Tylenols, drink plenty of liquids, and you'll be fine. And the next day, I still wasn't feeling any better. All of a sudden I got really dizzy and I passed out. I literally crawled to the phone and called 911, and the doctors began to run all kinds of tests and taking blood work and trying to figure out what was going on with me. I must have saw about 5 or 6 different doctors over the course of a couple of days. As it turns out, I, at the age of 29, was suffering from congestive heart failure. Doctors said that I had a virus that had eaten away at over 30% of my heart, and had also begun to eat away at my other vital organs. At that point, I remember just laying in the bed and literally thinking that, my life was about to be over. I was laying there talking to my mother, and all of a sudden, I was unable to breathe. So I remember just gasping for air, telling, my mother that, I couldn't breathe. And she immediately started praying. I was laying there and I remember just being snatched up out of my hospital bed, and I could see myself being dragged out of the hospital up into the sky. So I could feel a hand on my back. It wasn't a scary feeling, but I just felt that was God, taking me out. And I could see the doctors there working on my body. How you go to the dry cleaners and the clothes are lined up by number. And so, but it was an outline of bodies, and there was an outline there that was clearly for me. And I just remember kicking and screaming and saying, God, I don't want to go, don't take me. And then at that point, I literally felt myself fall back into my body. The doctors were there trying to resuscitate me. I was on life support for about 2 weeks. The doctors had informed my mother to basically get my stuff in order because I was on my way out of here. Thanksgiving Day, I came off of life support, out of my coma, and just remember being surrounded by people from all over. I went in the hospital at 210 pounds and came out at 160. On the day that I left the hospital, they did a final x-ray of my heart, and the doctor said that my heart was operating and functioning like a newborn infant. That same heart that had begun to deteriorate. And I remember my mother looking at the doctor that day and saying that it was nobody but God. So here I am, having suffered from congestive heart failure. I've now lost my job. I ended up losing my apartment, unemployed, and homeless. One of my struggles, I think, is with pride. I was homeless for a period of time and no one knew. I just refused to let anybody know. There were times when I would stay in, hotels. I'd check in just long enough to run upstairs and take a shower and come back down and just say, I don't think I can stay here anymore. Felt an urge to want to empower other people and encourage other people based on my life experiences. And I started this thing called Motivation. I kind of go through every week and post like inspirational videos and pictures and stories, just letting people know that, you know, life isn't always what you're going through at that moment, that, you know, there's always hope. I don't take anything for granted now. You know, God is in control, and, you know, he has worked things out. He'll continue to work things out. Like, I didn't go through this experience for nothing. Like, everything we go through is for a reason.